Have you ever noticed that real change never announces itself? It doesn't show up in grand speeches or social media updates. It happens quietly, behind closed doors, when no one is watching. True transformation isn't about proving yourself louder, faster, or more often. It's about rewiring yourself from the inside out. It's the early mornings when you get up before the world does. It's the disciplined decisions that no one applauds. It's the quiet work that builds the kind of strength no storm can shake. Welcome back to Stoic Power Lab, your daily dose of timeless Stoic wisdom. The Stoics understood this long before we did. They believed that true power doesn't come from performance, but from presence. Marcus Aurelius wrote that tranquility comes when we focus only on what is essential. That's the secret most people miss today. While everyone is chasing attention, validation, and visibility, the real builders are moving in silence. They're not trying to be seen. They're trying to become silence. In this sense, is not weakness. It's strategy, because in silence there is space. Space to think clearly, to refine your actions, to listen to the voice that actually matters, your own. The noise of the world tells you to keep proving, but the Stoic mind whispers something different. Build inward. Create strength so rooted that no opinion can uproot it so. As we begin this journey, remember this: transformation isn't a performance. It's a process. The quiet moments you think no one notices are exactly where your new life begins. Silence is not the absence of action. It is the environment where real power grows. And in this video, we'll explore how to cultivate that silence, not as escape, but as the foundation of unstoppable focus and inner strength. There's something magnetic about people who move quietly. You can feel it when you're around them, a calm confidence, an inner steadiness that doesn't need to be announced. They don't rush to prove anything. They don't live in explanation mode, trying to justify every decision or convince the world of their worth, while others are chasing applause, arguing to be understood, or curating the perfect image. These quiet builders are focused on something deeper. Progress, their power doesn't come from how loud they speak, but from how consistent they are. They find peace not in being noticed, but in the act of becoming. Discipline is their language. Focus is their presence. When you see someone like that, you don't need them to tell you who they are. You can sense it. Their energy feels grounded, their choices deliberate. It's the kind of presence that commands attention without demanding it. Plato once said that wise men speak because they have something to say, while fools speak because they have to say something. That line captures a timeless truth. Real strength doesn't need to perform. It simply exists, rooted in substance. In a world addicted to noise, explanation, and validation, that kind of quiet depth stands out more than any spotlight ever could. So ask yourself, when was the last time you let your actions speak louder than your explanations? When was the last time you moved silently toward something meaningful without needing to announce it? The world is full of people talking about what they're going to do. The rare few who actually do it quietly, consistently, deliberately, are the ones who end up shaping it. Quiet progress doesn't whisper because it's weak. It whispers because it's focused. It knows that the most powerful transformation doesn't need an audience. It only needs commitment. Every morning, your mind wakes up to a battlefield. Notifications, headlines, emails, each one fighting for a piece of your attention. Before you even take your first breath of calm, your brain is already scanning for what's wrong, what's missing, what might go wrong next. That's how negativity wins. not because life is unbearable, but because your focus is hijacked before the day even begins. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said that people are not disturbed by events, but by the views they take of them. In other words, it's not the noise that breaks you, it's how you interpret it. Modern psychology says the same thing in different terms. Your thoughts don't just describe your reality, they create it. When you fixate on problems, your nervous system stays in survival mode. But when you train your mind to notice what's working, what's stable, what's beautiful, you shift from surviving to living. That's where gratitude becomes more than a feel-good exercise. It becomes a discipline, a daily recalibration of your mental lens. Every night before you sleep, or every morning before the world claims you, list 3 things you're genuinely grateful for. They don't have to be grand. It could be your morning coffee, the sound of rain, or simply the fact that you woke up again with another chance to improve. The point isn't perfection, it's awareness. When practiced consistently, gratitude rewires your brain. It strengthens neural pathways linked to calm and focus, reduces stress hormones, and improves your physical health. More importantly, it reclaims your attention. It teaches your mind to scan for opportunity instead of threat, to see what's right instead of only what's wrong. Gratitude doesn't ignore reality, it refocuses it. It reminds you that even in chaos, there is stillness to be found. And when you begin your day from that place of quiet appreciation, you stop reacting to life. You start directing it. Asterisk, we live in a world terrified of silence. The moment things get quiet, most people reach for their phone, open a new tab, or fill the air with conversation that means nothing. It's not just a habit, it's a form of escape, because silence is honest. It holds up a mirror to everything we've avoided, the regrets we haven't faced, the doubts we've buried, the questions we keep postponing. And the truth is, most people don't fear being alone. They fear meeting the version of themselves that silence reveals. That's why noise is so addictive. It gives us a false sense of control, a way to keep our thoughts at arm's length. Every scroll, every ping, every headline becomes a small distraction that spares us from reflection. But avoidance doesn't erase what we don't want to face, it buries it. And what's buried doesn't disappear. It drains us from within, scattering our focus, fragmenting our peace, and leaving us exhausted even when we've done nothing. We've been trained to equate visibility with value, to think that being seen means being significant. But Aristotle warned us long ago, the true value of life lies not in how much attention you command, but in how deeply you're aware. Constant stimulation keeps us reactive, not reflective. It keeps our minds busy, but our souls untouched. Socrates taught that the unexamined life is not worth living. But examination requires observation, not reaction. It asks for stillness. It demands that you look inward without flinching and listen to what your own life has been trying to tell you. The more you chase noise, the further you drift from that truth. But the moment you turn down the volume of the world, you start hearing something remarkable, the quiet, steady voice of who you actually are. There's a quiet truth most people overlook. Your brain was never designed to process 1,000 voices at once. Every opinion you scroll past, every debate you have freed, every notification that lights up your screen, they all compete for the same limited mental space. We call it staying informed, staying connected, but what it really is, most of the time, is overstimulation disguised as productivity. The human brain thrives on focus. It was built to think deeply, not constantly. When you flood it with noise, it starts to short-circuit. Decision-making slows down, attention scatters, and you begin to doubt yourself. The voice that once felt sure and steady now sounds faint and uncertain. You hesitate before every move, second-guess every instinct, and call it caution, but it's not caution. It's confusion born from overload. We often forget that intuition isn't some mystical gift. It's the accumulated wisdom of a focused mind, the byproduct of experience and stillness working together. When you're grounded, that inner compass is sharp. You can sense what's right without needing endless validation. But when you're drowning in input, that signal weakens. You stop hearing it, and here's the cost. You lose trust in yourself. You outsource clarity to the noise. You wait for others to tell you what's true, what's good, what's next. That's how confidence erodes, not in one moment, but slowly, through 1,000 tiny distractions that rob you of your own knowing. The Stoics called it the discipline of perception, the ability to see clearly, think clearly, and act with calm conviction. But that clarity only lives where silence is allowed to exist. Every day, your attention is being traded, pulled, scattered, and sold to the highest bidder. Advertisers, notifications, algorithms, they all compete for the same limited space in your mind. But what most people don't realize is that attention is energy, and wherever your attention goes, your life follows. The Stoics understood this long before neuroscience could prove it. They taught that freedom begins when you direct that energy inward, not outward, when your sense of identity is built not on how others see you, but on how deeply you know yourself. Control, then, isn't about dominating your circumstances or bending others to your will. True control is self-mastery. It's when your actions align with your values, regardless of who's watching. Aristotle once said, "What lies in our power to do lies also in our power not to do." The ability to pause, to choose restraint instead of reaction, that's real strength. Because power without discipline is chaos. Modern psychology echoes this truth. The part of your brain that governs focus and long-term vision, the prefrontal cortex, is also the seat of self-control. But most people live from the limbic system, the part that reacts, argues, compares, and chases instant validation. When you live in reaction, you're not in control. You're being controlled. Reclaiming your attention means reclaiming your power. It means catching yourself before you scroll aimlessly, before you explain yourself to people who never earned that right, before you trade your peace for approval. Each time you choose focus over impulse, you're training your brain to serve your highest values. Control isn't found in noise, it's built in silence, where intention replaces reaction and your choices begin to reflect who you truly are. If this message helped you pause, reflect, or breathe a little deeper, subscribe to Stoic Power Lab and grow with us. There's a dangerous illusion that lives quietly in modern culture. The belief that talking about your goals is the same as becoming them. You've probably felt it. That little rush of satisfaction when you announce what you're planning to do, start a business, get in shape, write that book, and people applaud. It feels good, doesn't it? But here's what psychology reveals. That applause gives your brain the same dopamine reward as actually doing the work. The result? You feel accomplished before you've even begun. Carl Jung once said, "You are what you do, not what you say you'll do." The Stoics would agree. They believed that identity isn't declared, it's earned through disciplined repetition. Every time you act in alignment with your values, you're literally rewiring your brain. The prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for focus, planning, and self-control, strengthens with every consistent decision. You're not just creating habits, you're constructing the architecture of who you are. But when you seek validation too early, you sabotage that process. You trade growth for gratification. You trick your nervous system into thinking you've already arrived. That's why so many people start strong and fade fast. They confuse being seen as being changed. So what's the alternative? Say less. Do more. Let your consistency become your language. Let your actions write your story. You don't need to announce who you're becoming. The world will see it when it's real. The quiet, daily repetitions, the workouts no one witnesses, the discipline no one praises, the choices no one applauds, those are what shape identity. The Stoics didn't perform wisdom. They practiced it. And that's your invitation. Stop rehearsing the future and start living it. Because the person you want to become isn't waiting for a speech. They're waiting for action. Real transformation rarely announces itself. It doesn't arrive in a single breakthrough moment or a flash of inspiration. It builds slowly, invisibly, through structure, through the systems you commit to when no one is watching. Most people chase goals because they sound exciting, but goals depend on emotion, and emotion fades. Systems, on the other hand, depend on behavior, and behavior, repeated long enough, becomes identity. Your brain is constantly adapting to what you do most often. Every time you wake up early, practice patience, or resist distraction, your neural pathways shift. Discipline becomes easier not because motivation increases, but because repetition makes it familiar. What feels hard at first eventually becomes who you are. The Stoics understood this long before neuroscience gave it language. They believed excellence was not an act, but a habit, a way of living refined through small, deliberate choices. The mistake many people make is expecting visible progress too soon. They want results that others can see before they've earned the structure that sustains them. But the truth is, every external change is the echo of an internal system that has been quietly operating for months, even years. The daily decisions you think no one notices, the early mornings, the careful thoughts, the moments of restraint are the foundation of your transformation, so stop chasing spectacle. Stop looking for dramatic turning points. Focus instead on rhythm, consistency, and structure. The world will eventually notice, but by the time it does, you won't need its validation. You'll already know what you've built and who you've become. Real growth isn't just about becoming stronger or wiser, it's about becoming different. And that difference doesn't always sit well with the world around you. The moment you start changing your habits, your mindset, your standards, you'll notice something strange. People who once praised you may start to question you. Friends might joke that you've changed. Family may worry that you're becoming distant. But the truth is, you're not drifting away from them. You're evolving beyond the version of yourself they're still attached to. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely, because true self-acceptance means you can no longer hide behind old masks. You stop performing for approval and start living from authenticity." That's uncomfortable, not just for you, but for everyone who knew the older version of you. Your evolution challenges their certainty about who you are, and sometimes even who they are. This is where Stoicism offers an anchor. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." The Stoic doesn't explain his growth. He embodies it. He moves with quiet conviction, knowing that understanding is not a prerequisite for integrity. So when you feel that friction, the skepticism, the distance, the subtle pushback, don't take it as rejection. Take it as confirmation that you're shedding what no longer fits. Growth will always cost comfort, but that discomfort is proof that you're on the right path. Keep walking it. You don't need everyone to approve your evolution. You just need the courage to keep becoming the person your future self will thank you for. The silence that follows your transformation isn't emptiness, it's alignment. And that's where real freedom begins. Your attention is not just a mental concept. It is biological energy. Every thought, every decision, every reaction you make draws from a limited pool of neurotransmitter scamshi, like norepinephrine and acetylcholine, that fuel your ability to think clearly, plan effectively, and act with purpose. But those reserves are not infinite. Every time you check your phone without reason, argue just to prove a point, or jump between a dozen tabs, you're quietly spending that energy on things that give nothing back. The Stoics taught that control begins in the mind, and modern neuroscience proves it. When you pause, truly pause, you activate the higher regions of your brain responsible for long-term thinking and self-mastery. That single breath between impulse and response is where strategy is born. It's not weakness to step back. It's wisdom, because in that moment of silence, you're reclaiming clarity. You're choosing awareness over automatic reaction. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Silence is where that awakening begins. When you sit quietly long enough, what you've buried starts to rise: old stories, unprocessed emotions, hidden fears. And you have a choice: numb them again or engage with them. That engagement is where growth begins. Training your attention is like building muscle. It's uncomfortable at first, but each time you stay in silence a little longer than feels easy, you're rewiring your nervous system to respond with intention instead of impulse. That is the real power of focus. It's not about shutting out the world. It's about learning to command your own energy so you can direct it toward what truly matters. Most people chase validation, not alignment. They want to look disciplined more than they want to live disciplined. But peace, the kind that lasts, doesn't come from how the world sees you. It comes when what you do finally matches what you say you value. When your choices and your identity stop fighting each other. That's alignment. And without it, even the strongest motivation fades. Your brain knows the difference between performance and authenticity. When your behavior contradicts your goals, you feel it, a subtle tension, a quiet unease. But when your actions reflect your intentions, something powerful shifts. Dopamine, the brain's chemical of motivation, begins to reward quiet wins, finishing a task, honoring a routine, keeping a promise to yourself. Progress becomes its own fuel. Aristotle said the first and best victory is to conquer yourself. Excellence is not a single act, it's a pattern. It's built through structure, waking up at the same hour each morning, moving your body with purpose, eating with awareness, removing what no longer serves you. Physical discipline reshapes the mind. It teaches endurance, presence, and focus. The same qualities that form the foundation of inner freedom. At first, structure feels restrictive, but over time, it becomes liberating. You stop depending on motivation because rhythm takes its place. You stop chasing inspiration because you live in alignment. This is what the Stoics meant when they spoke of mastery, to build the new rather than fight the old. And when your body and mind move as one, the noise quiets, the fog lifts, and what remains is a calm, coherent presence. The kind that doesn't need to prove, only to live. There's a kind of strength that doesn't need to announce itself. You can feel it when someone walks into a room, the calm steadiness, the quiet confidence, the focus that doesn't demand attention but naturally commands it. That's the kind of strength born in silence, not the silence of absence, but of presence. It's in the mornings when you rise before the world does. It's in the moments when you choose discipline over distraction, purpose over noise. That is where real transformation begins. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology gave it language. They knew that power is not in performing, but in preparing. Marcus Aurelius wrote that waste no more time arguing what a good person should be one. True strength is built not through speeches or declarations, but through quiet repetition, through showing up even when no one is clapping. Every deliberate act, every steady decision, every small moment of integrity builds a foundation that no circumstance can shake. And this kind of power doesn't rush. It doesn't chase. It grows slowly, deeply, from the inside out. The more you align your actions with your values, the less you need external approval. You start to live from a place of calm assurance rather than constant performance. The reward is not attention. The reward is peace. So keep taking those aligned steps. Keep moving quietly in the direction that feels right, even when it's unseen. Let your results speak when the time is right. The world will notice when it's ready, but by then you won't need it to, because the transformation will already be complete within you. If this video helped you, let it echo, like, share, subscribe for more insights, and keep building your inner power.